back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about the last adventure story, The End of the Line, written by Simon Bernard and Paul Morris. This is the first story in the actual box set, despite this being the third story that we're going to be talking about, as I've talked about two stories prior to this in my other videos. The reason for that is because chronologically, this story takes place much later in the Sixth Doctor's timeline. It's a bit up in the air, question on when the Charlie stuff happens, but we know for a fact that this story must take place after Stage Fright, because that story features Flip, and this story features Constant Clark from Criss Cross. And they would later meet up, and the Doctor would explain that Flip is his companion prior to Miss Clark. So that's really interesting. I believe the box set is set in a way that we see it from the Valeyard's chronological appearances, so like from his point of view. But I'm tackling these in the Sixth Doctor's thing. So this is actually the third story that we're talking about this. Now, I've said this before in my previous video, Criss Cross, but I guess it bears repeating. This story was actually made, written, and thanks to a scheduling issue, which actually pushed this story to release earlier. I think it was 3 months earlier. This actually came out prior to Constant Clark's chronological appearance in Criss Cross, where she joins the Doctor. So people who bought this on the day and listened to it would have heard her on the TARDIS team before she actually made her official chronological appearance. So that's really strange. From behind the scenes, from what we can tell, this story was actually made and written first, and Matt Fitton, who wrote Criss Cross, actually based his script and the character of Miss Clark and the Doctor's relationship around what he had heard and seen from this story that we're listening to now. If you're a fan of the Valeyard, you might be a bit disappointed to know that he's hardly in this story. Like the Red House, which was the second story, but again, we've tackled about it. The Valeyard's plot is a very small aspect of the story, and just like the Red House, the Doctor never even gets... It's never revealed to the Doctor that the Valeyard is even in this story. It's basically, it feels like a teaser to set, basically to get your mouth watering for next stories where we see the Valeyard more prominent. Another thing I really want to talk about as well as this story is that each story in this box set actually represents a particular style of Big Finish's writing. You've got the with the Red House, you've got the much more TV accurate kind of Doctor Who. With Stage Fright, you've got the much more adventurous and inspecting kind of Doctor Who. And this one, we're talking about Big Finish's experimental phase, because prior for them becoming really popular during the 2010s, when they were a bit more of a niche market, their audio dramas would be very experimental, dealing with abstract concepts and much more to do with, like, you know, just really strange stories. That's basically what I'm saying. And this is a callback to that. And a lot of people were really happy with this because people who grew up on Big Finish back in the 2000s, they really liked this style, and that was the main phase, the main reason they got into Big Finish, these weird, bizarre stories. More recent years, they've become a bit more I don't want to say mainstream, though that might be a bit harsh. That might give people negative connotations. But I don't mean it like in a bad way. I just mean that they tell more stories that anybody can really enjoy. So there you go. Now, usually I would show the DVD cover that I've made for this, because this is the official box set that Big Finish came in with, and it looks absolutely stunning. I've shown this off before. And I would show you my DVD cover, which I've made for this. However, I made it prior to listening to this story. And doing that, I did my research on reviews on the internet and the Wikipedia page. And what I didn't realise is that there's an element in this story which I've put on the cover, which is actually a massive spoiler. So I'm going to show that at the end of the video. Don't worry if you enjoy seeing my custom DVD covers. I'll put it at the very end because I've put a spoiler on the cover. So anyway, on to the actual story. The story starts off with a group of people on a train, and they're basically they're just getting on the train, getting ready. We get meet a few characters. Alice, I believe one of them is. There's Norman, who is a ticket inspector, I believe he is. We get introduced to Tim Hope and a few other characters who, I must be honest, I can't remember the name of. What they find is that weird stuff starts to happen. There's this mist that's been going around, and it's causing turbulence basically as it's stopping the train from moving, and weird stuff is going on. So Tim Hope actually goes out to try and investigate why it isn't nothing moving, only to find that things aren't what he remembers them to. There seems to be more of the train tracks and more of the platform than he remembers, and he gets bumped into the Doctor and Miss Clark after he gets attacked by a strange, I believe it's like a strange creature or a strange individual, or no, it's like a train. I think one of the trains actually like speeds past him, and they save his life, and that actually sets up the pre-credit scene. That's actually a cold starter. And so the Doctor and Miss Clark go helping Tim to find his cart. And what they find is, just after leaving it for a little bit, he finds a train identical to the one that he got into. But the windows are all smashed. It seems to be a massive wreck, and when they go inside, Tim looks around and he sees clothing and an umbrella that he recognises from the other passengers, and he's like, where's everybody? How could all of this happen? I don't know if they find any dead bodies. I can't remember them mentioning a dead body yet. And so they go out and try and work out what's going on. But through the mist, they find a completely identical cart. And when they go inside that one, they find the majority of people still there, alive and well. And this leads loads of questions. This is a representation of what I was talking about, that this is a tribute to Big Finish's earlier, more abstract concepts where things start to play around and stuff. It turns out from their point of view, it's been longer than it has been from Tim Hope's point of view. And what they describe is that one of the characters, named Dave, he went outside with one of the girls, and she saw him get attacked and killed, only for them to get, only for her to go back into the cart and tell everybody, and she's covered in blood after seeing Dave's death. And the majority of the story then takes place in this cart, in this cabin. I also forgot to mention that whilst getting onto the train, the Doctor and Clark and Tim Hope, they also meet another character, a train spotter named Keith Potter, if I remember correctly. So he gets on board, and if you like stories, let me think of an example. Midnight. If you like stories like Midnight, where there's a small group of characters that you grow to like in a small space, and it's about how characters basically talking to each other to try and not trying to kill each other and go mad, basically, then this is the story for you. It reminds me a lot of other stories. This story brings about the idea of cabin fever, where you've got a small group of people and you don't know who really is the murderer, and they're talking around, getting around. It's basically like a whodunit. Suddenly, somebody starts knocking on the train of the door, and apparently it's Dave. Who comes knocking, and it's like, "It's me, let me in. What are you on about? I'm completely fine." But they don't let him in, and we get a scene where the Doctor and Clark are like, "Right, we got to open these doors, we got to let him in." But the girl who was covered in blood was like, "No, it can't be him. I saw him be murdered, mutilated, devoured." And I think, like, at the right to start off, she says, like, "It can't be, he's dead." And suddenly then Dave disappears as he seemingly gets attacked by someone or something. And the Doctor is mortified by this, because everybody else was like, "No, we can't trust them. This girl said she's seen Dave die, so we don't know who that is out there. It can't be trusted." And after they realise, "Doctor, you wanted to open the doors, and nobody knows you really, apart from Clark, but nobody even knows who she is. So we're going to put you, we're going to lock you in the toilets to make sure that you don't, that you stay there, and we can keep an eye on you." But after they go through one of the cabins, they discover the dead body of Dave. Dave keeps appearing. Dave keeps appearing and dying. There's a great line where the Doctor says, 3 Daves dying in quick succession, and then one of the characters, I believe it's Keith, says, "I'm so grateful that my name's not Dave at the moment." That was a really fun scene. And I try to work out what's going on, and the Doctor comes to the conclusion, to start off with, that there wasn't 3 Daves. There were 2 Daves. There was, basically what happened is that when they were looking for the carts, everybody was separated going out, and when they came back is when they found Dave's, when that girl was covered in blood states that Dave was dead and she came back running. And the Doctor theorised that the first Dave was killed and murdered and put into the toilet in the cavern, and the second Dave was the one knocking on the door. And slowly we start realising that this girl who saw Dave's death didn't actually see his death. She killed him. She's a murderer. And she starts talking all crazy like, and she's basically like, she goes mad about how she feels like she's unseen. All these men try to patronise her, calling her girl or honey or stuff like that, and she gets groped all the time, and Dave basically tried to make a move on her, and she got so mad, so intense that that she killed him and stuffed the body around, which explains Dave's death. And originally everybody is like, right, okay, we've solved who the murderer is anyway. We don't know really about the Dave thing, but we think that she is the villain. So, I can't remember if she gets killed or if they tie her up. But anyway, she is removed from the rest of the story. And the Doctor then comes up with this... oh no, I tell you what it is. The girl, she takes Keith as a prisoner to try and get out of this mad place. Keith goes down with her, and then all of a sudden Keith turns around to this girl and is like, you will listen to me. You will tell me what I need to know. And she starts, and she gets hypnotized. She starts obeying him, and she starts stating like what's happening to her and why this is going on. She doesn't know. She basically has gone, she feels really tetchy, very insane. And then the next time we see is that Keith is actually heading back into the train cart. Basically, he's a bad guy. Is he the Valeyard? Maybe, who knows? Keith also explains that, you know, he's a professional train spotter, and he's starting to notice that there are carts that are exactly the same getting repeated. And not only that, there are train stations which weren't there before. I believe he said there were 13, but when he just went out and counted, there was 14 and 15 and 16. And it seems to be that there more are being made. And the Doctor comes to his conclusion that they are in the nexus of parallel universes, parallel dimensions, and that everything, and that all of these universes, all their laws and their physics are coming together and basically poisoning each other. Not that as an evil version. The Doctor even states that evil is a very one-sided term. But these universes all connecting, which shouldn't happen because they're parallel universes, he states are eroding, corrupting everything. Basically an empathy on a mass level, which explains why that girl seemed to be going crazy. At one point the Doctor's like, right, we're going to have to sort this out. So Keith, you come with me and you show me where the train station is. We need to get to the heart of the nexus of this parallel universe so that I can destroy it, and that whatever's making this happen must be stopped, and then we can put all the universes back. And that this effect is getting more and more increasingly, and at one point, if this is allowed to continue, there'll be an infinite amount of universes combined in and meeting each other. And he states to Clark to basically look after everybody and to go out. So Clark stays behind with Tim, Hope, and Alice, and also there's also Norman, the ticket inspector. I think Norman dies. I can't remember. But Alice starts acting a little bit strange. She's usually been the quiet one. She seems really timid. She's not too sure of herself. And she's talking to Clark about these parallel universes, these parallel dimensions. And she's like, I would really like to meet the other me. One where I did kiss that boy back in 9th grade. The one where I did have too much to drink, because she's one of those people who she states she only has like one wine and then she's fine usually. Someone a bit more reckless, somebody who had that affair, someone who left her job, all that being a bit reckless. She wants to talk to him, and Clark starts to like reason with her, and it's like, first of all, Clark's like, yeah, that would be interesting. But then she's like, you might not want to do that. You might not like to see what these other universes have in tow. But then Alice starts going on basically a rant that the conclusion she's made, this is an incredibly scene. It comes really right out of nowhere, but in a very good way that makes you, the tensions revel up as you kind of slowly realise what's happening. But also, like, what's really brilliant about this scene is that whether this is because of the erosion or whether she is coming to this conclusion all by herself, isn't made too particular clear. Obviously, the erosion is making her act a little bit more bombastic than she usually is, but how much of it is the erosion, we don't really know. And it's played in a way that either way really works for the story. Basically what happens is, with Alice working out that multiple universes, an infinite amount of possibilities exists, that really, like, because everything happens and anything can happen, she doesn't need to worry about consequences. She could theoretically just kill someone because just to see what would happen, on the main premise that in one of the infinite amount of universes it must happen. So either way, her trying to be good is really irrelevant in a way, because she might not kill someone, but a completely different version of her would kill someone. So again, it doesn't matter. And so she starts going crazy. She starts smashing windows just to let the mist come in. She basically threatens to kill people, and Clark and Tim Hope had to basically abandon the train because Alice has just gone completely mad. And so they try to run towards the Doctor and Keith, as Alice is basically following them in a fit of rage. Now the Doctor and Keith, they find a new platform, platform 20, and whilst they're there, they see the next platform be made, 21, and then the next one, 22, proving to the Doctor that the effect is getting rapidly quicker. And so they go into a room on the last platform, which is the nexus of this. The Doctor notices straight away that the core of it, it seems like there's a beating heart, where this beating heart with this almost Gothic cathedral technology surrounding it, corrupting it, poisoning it. And the Doctor quickly works out, just by looking at it, it's Gallifreyan technology. And then all of a sudden, Norman appears out of nowhere, and the Doctor basically is asking, Norman, what are you doing here? Why are you wearing different clothes? Did you just get promoted or demoted by the time we left you? But then it's explained that Norman is not actually a human being. He is a particular individual who was put on guard by an ancient celestial race that have now been deceased. A race that basically are like Time Lords, but instead of protecting time, they protect parallel dimensions, parallel realities. And that they basically, this ancient race left this thing here, and this train station is actually the nexus point, the heart, the soul of a web, a net that connects all parallel universes together, and that they shouldn't really meet like this. However, they have a new master, a new person, and they point to Keith, and it's like, he's the master. And the Doctor's like, wait a minute, are you saying that Keith is your master? No, he's not my master. He is what he calls the master, the difficult article. And the Doctor turns around and Keith goes, "Oh, my dear Doctor, you have been naive." And yes, that is, now I can show you my DVD cover, because this was the plot twist. The Master is actually involved in this story. Basically, this is the first appearance of Anthony Ainley's incarnation of the Master in Big Finish. Anthony Ainley sadly passed away before he could even appear in any audio drama. I believe he was originally scheduled to appear in one with Sylvester McCoy called Stardust, but sadly he passed away before that one, and Big Finish basically came up with this idea that his body deteriorated, and so the body went back to the Joffrey Beavers incarnation. But here is supposed to be the Anthony Ainley Master, and how they explain it is that this device, this thing which will allow the Master to become the ruler of not just his own dimension, his own reality, but every sort of possibility imaginable, so that the Master is the supreme ruler of everything. However, this device is extremely dangerous to Time Lords in particular, and so he basically took Keith as an avatar, a host body. So it's not actually, Anthony Ainley's Master doesn't actually appear in the physical sense, but his presence, his sort of self gets into the story. So that's the cover I've made. It's got Colin Baker in a costume very similar to Criss Cross I've put on here. At the end of the story, it is stated that he is wearing his colourful costume, but I don't know, I just preferred the Criss Cross costume, so I thought I'd put it here and hope that they didn't mention it, which is a shame. So here's the spine if anyone is interested. There you go, that's really cool. Sorry that's a bit blurry. And here's the back. Nice, cool. Enjoyed that? Yeah, really cool. Clark and Tim come out to the train station where they meet another Norman who's on guard duty. Clark also states she's getting cold, and so Tim actually lends her his jacket, which will become a very important point. And Tim basically distracts and beats up the Norman so that Clark can get in and get involved. And it's here where we get a really funny moment where she's looking at the situation. It's like, "Doctor, you're saying that Keith was behind all this?" But the Doctor states, it's like, "No, this is my most deadliest enemy, the Master." And so, yeah. And the Master originally plans to get the Doctor to help because of the Nexus and its plausibility. The Master's also been tampering with things he doesn't quite understand, which is causing all of these strange and bizarre things that they've been seeing around the train station. And so the Doctor gets caught up into the heart of the machine because the Master takes Clark as a prisoner. We get a great line, which I believe is actually on the Last Adventure trailer, in which Clark is like, "Don't worry about me, forget about me." And the Doctor's like, "Forget about you, Miss Clark? Never." I really like that moment. It shows that Colin Baker really cares for Clark. However, he tampers with it so that instead of allowing the Master to have ultimate power, it will soon revert back to its normal state, putting all the parallel universes back together. And soon this heart thing will get destroyed. And so everyone starts evacuating. The Master tries heading up to his TARDIS. However, he gets beaten up by Tim. The Doctor states that basically, oh God, this is going to destroy. Destroy the train station. If only I had a dematerialization circuit, something that would, something I can use to stabilize the effect as it's healing. But Clark can feel something in her jacket, and she takes it out, and she's like, "What's this?" And the Doctor looks at what she's got, and is like, "That's impossible. That is exactly what I need. That's a dematerialization circuit." And with amazement, the Doctor actually figures it together and puts it together and fixes the nexus of the multiverse, which is a really grand thing to say. And the Doctor basically is like, "Where do you get that?" And Clark's like, "This is in the jacket, but it's not my jacket. It's from Tim's jacket. This is Tim's jacket. He gave it to me when because I was cold." And the Doctor's like, "That's strange and unusual. I don't think this will be the last time we see Tim Hope." And just outside, the Master is like, "Who are you, you fiend? What are you doing?" And Tim is like, "I want you to do two things. One, don't interact with the Doctor. Stay out from the Nexus. This is my home. This is where I have made myself comfortable with. This is where I exist in this the borders between dimensions, which fuels on the darker natures of everyone. And that, two, to keep away from the Doctor. He's my prey. He's my enemy to defeat, not yours." And the Master's like, "What are you? Who are you?" And Tim is like, "Well, I guess there's no need to hide anymore." And a beam effect happens, getting rid of his disguise. And then a familiar voice starts talking. Yes, Tim Hope was actually the Valeyard the entire time. And he basically laughs at the Master as he puts him back into his TARDIS and he vanishes off. The Valeyard scene in this seems really trailery, in my opinion. Like with the reveal, and then you've got the dun 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 music. Makes you really car-based. It's like, oh my god, it feels really like a trailer, like when like a really good trailer, and at the end they have like a nice little surprise for you, and you're just like, oh my god, what the hell? I really like that. It could have been savoured a bit better because, I mean, this is the box set featuring the Doctor and the Valeyard. It's pretty obvious that the Valeyard was involved in some way, shape or form. And the Doctor hears the Master's TARDIS disappearing, and so the story ends with the Doctor and Constant Clark heading back off into the TARDIS as they go off into more adventures. And that's the end of the line. Overall, it is a very good story. It's way better than The Red House, but I personally preferred Stage Fright. This story, The End of the Line, is great on atmosphere and suspense, and it's got great twists and turns, and it has an imaginating imagination on its just the idea of this multiverse, these parallel universes combined, and you got some really weird and abstract ideas. My only issue with this is that it feels way too short. For this idea and these concept, I think they should have made it its own 4-part adventure. Each story in this is 1 hour-long adventure, I believe. So I think it could have benefited with a little bit more time, because now with this story, despite it having some really good moments, some really good self-contained ideas and concepts and characters, Just the fact that all of this is just in the start of a very small story makes you feel like you've just listened to a setup, a teaser to the rest of the box set, which is a real shame, because I think with this idea and this concept, you could have gone further, you could have gone more in depth and make it feel like its own self-contained adventure, and I think it would have been so much better for that. So that's my feelings on the end of the line. Now, sadly, I don't have any more Constable Clark stories. She had one against the Daleks, she had one against a new regeneration of the Rani, and as far as this video is concerned, I'm recording this in October. She hasn't had a departure story yet. From where I am in terms of Big Finish's overall content, her and the Doctor got reunited with Flip, and she is travelling with them in a TARDIS of 3 crew, and as far as I'm concerned, that plot line hasn't finished yet. Also in the first story with Flip returning, in a story called Quicksilver, Miss Clark finds out what's happened to her husband, and that plot line gets resolved. So if you're interested in that, please go check them out. Sadly though, however, I won't be tackling those stories. I'll be moving on to the next companion. And speaking of next companions, join me next time as the Doctor decides to be reunited with Melody Bush. But the problem is, which Doctor is going to greet her? Is it the right Doctor? Or is it the wrong Doctor? So I'll see you next time in the Doctor Who Marathon for the wrong Doctor. And I'll see you then. Ta-da!